New Pokemon games have been out for a couple of weeks now. We are now in Generation 7. My friend and I went to GameStop on Thursday at midnight to get these new games. He got Sun, I got Moon. I beat the main story quite a few days ago. I've been playing post-game ever since, and I've pretty much done everything you can do in post-game, so I pretty much beat the game. So now that I've beaten it, let's talk about it. Pokémon Moon. The word version's still gone. Makes me sad. So Pokemon Sun and Moon take place in the new region, the Alola region. See how I wave my hands like this? Because this is how they greet each other. They say Alola, obviously based on Hawaii. And like all Pokemon games, you play as a boy or girl depending on what you prefer. And again, you can choose from 3 starter Pokemon. In this case, we have the fire type starter Litten, the grass type Rowlet, and the water type Poplio. When these guys were first revealed, I took a look at Rowlet. I was like, ah! What is that? Rowlet just looks weird to me. I don't like how Rowlet looks. Litten was okay, but I don't like his final form. I think it looks a lot like Alex the Lion from Madagascar. I went with Poplio because look at that little guy. He's an adorable little seal, and Primarina is awesome. Now, the basic system of the Alola region is very different from all the other regions that we're used to. You know, in all the other Pokemon games, we had gyms, and we got badges from gyms, then we went to Elite Four, and we got the champion, and the legendaries, and it was like the same story pretty much every time. In the Alola region, there are no gyms, which threw me for a loop at first. I was like, wait a minute, no gyms? How are we supposed to progress the story? What is this? You find out instead of gyms, we have these things called trials. There are these different kinds of challenges that you go through at certain points on each island of the Alola region. Like in some of them you have to take pictures, and others you have to mix food. Like different activities you do, and they all culminate in one battle with a totem Pokemon, which is a Pokemon with boost stats. And then after beating them, instead of a badge, you get this thing called a Z Crystal, which I'll touch on later. One of the main things that really impressed me with this game though is the story. You remember back in like Red and Blue or Gold and Crystal where the main story is you go through the gyms and then you become the champion of Elite Four and then you get the legendary and then that's it. At this point, after 20 years, these stories have become so much bigger. This story in Pokemon Moon, and probably Sun, is really good. It's actually quite epic, which makes me wonder if X and Y had epic stories since I didn't play X or Y. Again, you have your villainous team. This time it's Team Skull. They're a bunch of brats. They all they're gangster wannabes. It's actually pretty pathetic when you see these guys because they're like, you know, they're all moving around like this. I'm like, I want to see how they do these guys in the anime because it'll probably be just as stupid. The more interesting organization though is the Ether Foundation. These guys take care of Pokemon like a nursery, and the president of the Ether Foundation is Luzamine, who's actually a really important character in this story. This character, no spoilers here, but yeah. However, the most important character in this entire game is not even you. It is in fact the character Lily. Lily is the chick that kind of accompanies you on your quest. I mean, she doesn't like follow you around, but you know, like every other city you go to, every cutscene, you'll see her. And her deal is that she has this little bag with a Pokemon inside that's really unique. This guy is really special. He's like a legendary pretty much. So we're trying to find out what this thing's deal is, how we get it to safety, how we learn more about it. And Lily's not a trainer. She's not like, she doesn't use Pokemon for battle. She doesn't even like to see Pokemon get hurt. In fact, she's pretty much a pacifist, which made me anyways feel really attached to her. I really relate to her. I mean, yeah, I play as a trainer and I battle, but I'm like, yeah, I see where you're coming from. By the end of the story, you realize that this is not so much your story as it is hers. And I really like that. This game really revolves all around Lily and her character growth, which is really good. So big plus for the story for this game. Now, when the first trailer for this game said it all comes together, here's what it meant by that. Throughout this game, there are plenty of references to Kanto and Johto. Like people will mention other regions and they'll say, oh, I'm from Kanto, for example. They'll mention characters from other games. In fact, you, the character yourself, you're actually from Kanto. You moved to the Alola region because I think the professor is your cousin, the Professor Kukui. I think he said he's your cousin or something like that. And there are lots of references to Kalos and Unova region. I think every generation got a shout out except for Generation 4. I heard like pretty much no reference to Sinnoh, which leads me to believe that there will be remakes of Diamond and Pearl coming out later, and I'll play one of those. Now, as for all the new species of Pokemon in this new generation, I like a lot of them. The big team that I have, I actually didn't plan like before I got the game. Normally before a Pokemon game comes out, I'll be like, okay, these are the guys I want on my team because I think these guys are the best and they look really cool. In this one, I kind of played it by ear and I just chose who I liked and I stuck with them. And in the end, I wound up with Lycanroc, Arcanine, Primarina, Magnezone, Lunala, and Pangoro. Yes, Pangoro, because Serena's Pancham is awesome. And more shipping for the win. One gripe I have about this game though is how easy it is. Every trial I went to, every like boss battle, I will say there is not a single battle in this game that I lost. Okay, that's not entirely true. There was one battle that I did lose. The grass type trial, that Totem Lurantis, I lost once. Other than that, Nope, I always won. That includes the Elite Four, and the champion after the Elite Four, and the fight against Red. I won every time, first try. There were some tough battles, oh yeah, for sure, but I always came out on top. And just like Alpha Sapphire, the legendaries were pretty easy to catch too. And there aren't too many legendaries in this game. All the legendaries that I've caught in this game are all from this new generation. I haven't seen a single legendary from any of the past generations aside from Zygarde, but he actually has to do with the story, so that fits. But you know, all four of the Tapus I caught within like 2 Ultra Balls. Lunala, the game mascot, he was pretty easy to catch, but again, that had to do with the story, so it made sense. So all the legendaries are pretty easy to catch with the exception of one, Necrozma. Oh my god. This guy doesn't tie into the story. This guy's post-game. He has no relevance pretty much whatsoever. But upon finding him and trying to catch him, I had the most frustrating experience, and that was refreshing for me. Yes, the fact that it was frustrating is actually a positive here, because that's how I remember legendary Pokemon. The big, huge legendaries that were beasts like Rayquaza. I remember way back in Ruby version or Emerald version just throwing Ultra Ball after Ultra Ball after Ultra Ball and wasting them all and not catching him. I had Necrozma on 1 HP and sleeping. Ultra Ball after Ultra Ball after Ultra Ball. Nope. Wasted them all. Every single Pokeball I had wasted. I ended up having to use the Master Ball. I was playing it and I was like, oh my god, this is awesome. I've missed this. As for some of the other aspects of this game, there are a few things here. First off, Z-moves. They're pretty much like the big thing that Mega Evolution was back in Gen 6. Z-moves are pretty much, if I can compare it to anything, that I would compare them to like Mortal Kombat fatalities. They're like these super moves that you can only use once per battle that are pretty much guaranteed one-hit feints if you use them right. And I use them a lot of the time. I won't lie. I like using Primarinos a lot because it's actually really cool for a musician like me. And instead of a bike, you know how you'd have a bike to get around really fast in all the other games? Instead of a bike in this game, you use this thing called Ride Pokemon. Like to get around really fast, I use Statland because he's the fastest. It's like a conservative alternative to a bike. So that's a nice little change. I liked it. One of my favorite things about this game though is the Rotom Dex. This dude is the best. He's like this sarcastic, witty smartass that'll just comment on whatever you're doing. I mean, he's your friend, you know, but he'll just like the lines he spits out. Whoever wrote those lines for the Rotom Dex, props to you. Because honestly, he's one of my favorite characters in the game. The music in Pokemon Sun and Moon is actually really cool. There's a lot of ukulele, of course. You know, a lot of the tropical vibe, of course. Not all the music is all tropical. There are other things, of course. Like the Team Skull theme, you actually hear a guy with a vocoder in this score. It's actually kind of weird. I will say though, the music when you're in the apparel shop, probably one of my favorite tracks on the soundtrack. It's all like dun 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 dun. It's like this really cool kind of salsa. I like it. Another one of my gripes is that none of this game is in 3D. Like, at all. The only part of this game that's in 3D is when you're using the Pokefinder, which is like a camera you use to take pictures of Pokemon. But that kind of bummed me out because there were a lot of aspects of X and Y, I believe, but I know in Alpha Sapphire that were in 3D. The battles were in 3D, some of the cutscenes were in 3D, the Elite Four, like that location, that was all 3D. And in these newer games, there is no 3D. It's a 3DS game. I don't know, maybe they just didn't want to spend the budget to make it 3D. I don't know. I don't know what went through there. I mean, do I require a good Pokemon game to be in 3D? Of course not. But it's a 3DS game. It's just, I don't know, it didn't make sense to me. But in the end, I had a blast with Pokemon Moon. I'm not done with it yet or anything. I still gotta get my guys to level 100. I'm gonna play the Elite Four many more times, and actually it's a different champion every time. I love that. I've beaten the Elite Four a total of 3 times at this point, and I'm probably just gonna go fight them over and over and over again like 50 times now, because at this point there's not much else to do. Do I like Pokemon Moon better than Alpha Sapphire? I don't think so. I think Alpha Sapphire is still my favorite main series Pokemon game of all time, but Pokemon Moon is still a great game. I love it. I love it as an introduction to Generation 7. Great story, great world, great music, great Pokemon. Solid, great Pokemon game. So have you played Pokemon Sun or Moon? What did you think about it? Who's on your team? Whatever your answer is to any of those questions, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.